there are a handful of reasons why you might want $3,000 in cash. Among them might be just
maybe you need to buy a dog to replace the one that you shot.
In this clip, Tim Miller and Sam Stein of the Bulwark take a look at the recent news story about Kristi Noem. And Tim Miller and Sam Stein have some fun with this, but they also get to the bottom of this is a weird story. Kristi Noem is a MAGA nut job who tries to come off as professional, but is crazy. Kristi Noem is crazy. Kristi Noem is crazy. Full stop. Okay. This is just another example of all of the crazy with the K stories coming out of these buffoons, these incompetent, unqualified buffoons that are occupying this administration. Let's check it out together. I'll have opinions, and then I want to know what you think in the comments. Here we go.
And when you get a story about a cabinet secretary with a new face having her purse stolen with $3,000 of cash, I have no choice but to discuss the details with Sam Stein, our managing editor. The big headline here from CNN, Kristi Noem was having dinner Easter Sunday night, and her purse was stolen by a masked man. In the purse, notably, $3,000 cash, which has raised a lot of questions. Sam,
there's more things in the purse. There was more things in the purse, but that was the most notable.
Yeah, blank checks, also a makeup bag. Need the makeup bag. Medication, DHS, apartment case,
badge,
a passport. I mean, it's kind of like a go bag.
You never know when you gotta go.
Why is the Secretary of Homeland Security carrying a go bag? I did enjoy the joke.
I didn't really appreciate the passport. Yeah. We're sure the passport was in there?
I'm reading it right now from CNN.com.
Do you carry your passport around? I don't carry my passport. I do not.
I'm not the Secretary of Homeland Security, though. Someone online noted she's not the Secretary of Handbag Security, so she's focused mostly on her homeland.
Do you think that the Secretary of Homeland Security has to present her passport when going abroad?
She just went to El Salvador for a snuff film, so it's possible that
that was weeks ago.
Does she? I would assume she has to get her passport stamped
when you're at that level. Yeah,
when she goes into El Salvador.
So that may make sense then. She's moving in and around a lot. I don't know, but I wouldn't carry my passport around to a restaurant. That's crazy.
So what do you make of this, Sam? I mean, it's kind of a funny story, but also
there's
raise an eyebrow.
Yeah, there's two eyebrows.
Yeah. Well, she can't raise any eyebrows, but for the rest of us...
Stop it.
I'm sorry.
Stop.
You can't get a new face and then not expect people to notice it.
Fine,
it's fine. Like, look,
fine.
if in 20 years from now, my hair is still brown, I give the TikTok YouTuber, the young smart-ass TikTok YouTuber the right to make fun of the fact that it's not my natural hair. It's just, you got to just...
That's not your natural hair now.
It is.
That's a wig.
I'm au naturel.
All right. This is what I actually think of this.
Okay.
It's both eyebrow raising for a couple of reasons. But the primary one is she has Secret Service protection. How did someone get that close to steal her handbag? Maybe she was like up and out and, in the bathroom and someone came and swiped the bag. But where was Secret Service? Like, that's a legitimate concern. So that's the eyebrow raising elements of it. And then there's what is she doing with $3,000 of cash elements of it? And then there's just a sort of like, I kind of am sickly curious what restaurant. I kind of want to know, like, where is she dining in DC? How did this happen? Like, I don't know. There's a bunch of there's
a lot of
quirky.
Let's dial in on the Secret Service, because we've had a lot of Secret Service failures recently.
Yeah.
Most notably, obviously, the attacks on now President Trump, then candidate Trump. Carol Lenig of the Post, your neighbor, has written a lot about this. And there have been a lot of issues within the Secret Service. I mean, it feels like this your only job. It feels like you have one job. If you're at a restaurant with a principal, is to make sure that strangers, a mask. I mean, I guess it was a kind of a COVID style mask, not like a black mask. But
even that would be more suggestive of someone you should have your eye on. Like some guy walks into a restaurant with a mask on and be like, what the hell is that guy doing here?
It's not 2021.
No. And I know, yeah. So that whole thing is weird. And yes, this is yet another black mark for the Secret Service, who's had a number of bad incidents in the past couple of years, and Carol's been on top of all of it, written the book on it, literally. So I'm assuming there's going to be some, investigation to what went wrong. Our colleague Will Summer called up Washington, D.C. police to see if they have an incident report on this, and they referred him to Secret Service. So I guess they're taking point on this. but they fucked up.
Yeah. Well, okay. Now let's get to the bag. But really, who carries $3,000 besides Tony Soprano? Do you know anyone that carries $3,000?
I don't know.
Of cash?
No.
Like a wad, and you're just kind of.
No. Why does she have $3,000? No, I don't. What do you do with $3,000 in cash? Why do you have that in your bag?
That's it, right? I mean, it's not illegal to have cash in your bag. You could have $3,000. It's perfectly fine. But what are you doing? Like, people use credit now. I know wealthy people. They don't carry cash. I mean, maybe I'm just not wealthy enough. Maybe that's what you do. It's not what I do. Anyone? Bueller?
I can't. I was been racking my brain. Like, could there be a reason that a cabinet secretary would want to have cash that a regular person wouldn't?
I mean, we presume she has credit cards.
Yeah, but I can't
maybe even Apple Pay. Who knows?
I can't think of it. I mean, there's some things that come to mind, like. You might not want a family member to see what you're paying money on, or a FOIA if it was a government card. I guess we could FOIA for government payments. But what would be?
Maybe she's going in and out of the country and she needs the cash, but credit cards work and she's on a government salary and they pay for everything. There's something really weird about this. Honestly, I'm not trying to be like suggestive or conspiratorial, though it comes off this way. But carrying that amount of cash when you're a top government official seems a little bit odd to me.
Okay, if you're not going to be suggestive, I might. There's
another story. You needed the green light. Okay, go ahead.
There's another story about Kristi Noem recently, and the person's role at the Department of Homeland Security. It was the Wall Street Journal earlier this week how Corey Lewandowski became Kristi Noem's gatekeeper at DHS. Trump's former campaign chief is working as her de facto chief of staff, despite White House concerns about their relationship. So not Tim's concerns, White House concerns about the relationship. There have been a lot of reporting that they had a, kind of an affair of some kind that has been out there. So obviously they've denied it.
There's been denials left and right, just to be clear, but it's out there. Everyone has been reporting it. If you're not reported it, you've heard about it. It's in the ether.
And so, there have been some actual tangible on the record examples such as this. My favorite one was probably like the third best thing I've ever written for the Bulwark, which was before you came here. The headline was "The MAGA Trashiest Police Report in History." Do you remember this, Sam?
No.
Okay. We can do this together. This is October 4th, 2021, well before your time at the Bulwark. Before we were a YouTube kind of endeavor when we, used our fingers. And I got tipped off by a friend. At that point, I still had some Trump friends. Like they didn't like me, but they still talked to me. None of them talk to me anymore. And they didn't like Corey. And somebody was like, "You might want to look at this police report that was just filed." And the police report was from a addiction awareness fundraiser at a Benihana in Las Vegas. It was in the private room of a Benihana. Corey was hammered. Again, this is all according to the police report. So, no wild accusations here. Corey was hammered at this addiction awareness fundraiser and started making very inappropriate advances on a married woman named Trishelle Odom.
I think I know the story.
You remember?
Go ahead.
Now.
Yeah.
Okay. Kristi Noem was at the fundraiser. Corey had traveled there with Kristi Noem.
Okay.
And, there were one of the things that Ms. Odom said in the report was that Corey called Kristi Noem hot while they were discussing, while they were commenting. But one of the more interesting things from the report came after the dinner when Odom and her stepson were in like the picture line to go take a picture with Kristi Noem. And she said when they went to do the photo, Noem volunteered to her that she was sorry for Corey's behavior and that she was texting Corey to stop touching her during the dinner. Mrs. Odom said that was confusing for her stepson. That is intriguing, right? That Noem and Corey had that type of relationship. She's texting him during a dinner, being like, "Behave." Now they're all now he's the deputy chief of staff.
Well, it's interesting that he's
chief of staff.
What's interesting is that he's continued to stay in this kind of shadowy role where he's in and around her political orbit. He's been working on her PAC, follows her to DC, seems to be in some ways indispensable for her, and yet there's not many fans of his inside the Trump orbit. And certainly if there were, he would have a job at the White House. So yeah, that the whole relationship is fascinating, I suppose.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
And so again, who knows? There are millions.
Who knows?
I mean, there are not a million reasons. There are a handful of reasons why you might want $30,000 in cash. Among them might be just
maybe you need to buy a dog to replace the one that you shot.
A gift or a dinner.
Yeah,
It's just a dead dog.
I remember it. I got to buy a dog, and I need cash.
They need cash to replace the
That's
dead
my
dog.
theory.
Yeah, I don't know. Or maybe handing out tips to the jailers when you're going to take strange.
More than one person has pointed out that some of these arrests that are being made are, based on people having wads of cash. So there's
well, they mentioned several things. Had mentioned that in the Abrego Garcia case, because I misunderstood it. Actually, I should correct myself. I forget. I'm doing too many of these YouTube videos, but I should correct myself. In the past, when I said that he had wads of cash, and that wasn't true. Actually, they had the anti, the MAGA folks had made it kind of seem like that in the report. But if you read it closely, it was he was wearing a hoodie that had pictures of wads of cash. So like all he had was like images of wads.
Images of wads.
That was enough to be more evidence of sending him to El Salvador. Whereas Kristi
was carrying around. Good thing she didn't have a Michael Jordan hoodie on or something like that. That would have been real.
Do you think Adrian ever had three grand in cash on her?
No.
I don't know if Christopher would have allowed that to happen. Okay, Sam Stein, thank you so much. We're going to keep a close eye on this story because
there's a lot of office intrigue about this story for sure. The slacks are blowing up.
So there'll be more.
This does feel like one of those kind of initially fluffy, like, oh, that's weird, head-scratching things that ends up just being the tip of some iceberg. That gets referred back to at a later date once actual concrete evidence. I mean, again, this is all just hypothesis and gut feeling, but it's indicative of the kind. So you take an administration like this and you fill it full of, there are the billionaires, which isn't necessarily to say that those people are competent, but that's one class. And then you have the sycophants, their primary qualification is that they are willing to kiss Trump's ass. So on the one hand, and there can be billionaire sycophants, but when you're dealing with the Pete Hegseths and the Kristi Noems and the Nancy Maces and the Marjorie Taylor Greens, right? These are just the people that are crazy to some actual degree, and they are willing to fluff the president and support the big lie and all of that. They're on board. And when stuff like this happens, the first thing is deny, 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 obscure, don't let it get out. But when it's out, deny, deny, deny. And then it usually ends up that the story is bigger than the little snafu that caught people's notice. So it will be interesting to see if there's any more to this. But in the meantime, thanks for listening. Let me know what you think in the comments.